Everyone, and welcome back to what is it now, Cody? Episode 5?
Episode 5.
Episode 5 of the Stage Racing Podcast. Today we're talking all things COTA, and we're going to look ahead to this weekend's race at Phoenix. As always, Adam Pace here, joined by my co-host Cody St. John. Cody, dude, it's just been a crazy couple weeks for our personal lives, you with work and everything like that. It makes it tough when we're recording late in the week, but I think we got some advantages to that because I think we got a couple extra talking points that we didn't have earlier in the week. So with all that being said, how are you, my friend?
I'm here. Tired. It's been a very busy week. Basically drove the Daytona 500 yesterday at work. Drove 497.8 miles.
You ended under caution. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No overtime there. So, yep. So, needless to say,
in more ways than one, right? No overtime in more ways than one.
Yeah, being the disadvantages of being salary for all you salaried folks out there.
Yep, that's for sure. They thank us for our work.
So.
I'm gonna try something. See if I can get my lighting a little bit better. There it is. Yeah, there we go. I was looking a little dark.
There you go. Show the crowd your face.
Yeah, it ain't much to see. All I see is a receding hairline, man. That's all it's become these days. All right, I got my hero card this year. I was just showing you right here, folks. This week, the old hero card we got is none other than Ridgeway's finest, Jimmy Hensley. Jimmy, my uncle knew Jimmy pretty well, and so we actually got to meet Jimmy a few times. Cool guy. It was always fun watching truck races at Martinsville, knowing that the guy is literally from right here. It's his backyard. So Jimmy had a pretty successful career in the truck series and raced some other things.
Hey, you got to flash the jacket.
Oh, yeah. I was showing you that. If only this was still for sale. For those of you watching online, that is just one sick jacket that I would pay stupid money for.
If anybody out there knows where they can get that jacket, get at them up.
Hit me up. That would be awesome. And it's Dodge too, man. What a throwback.
Just real quick off topic. We talked about last episode, if I remember right, that new manufacturers coming back into NASCAR. Maybe if Dodge doesn't decide to get back in the Cup, maybe with the Rams, maybe they get back in the truck series.
The truck series, man, and just go from there. Yeah, I agree. All right, well, this past weekend we were at the Circuit of the Americas. We previewed it last week and talked about the new layout that they have here. So as we start stage 1, what'd you think of the new layout?
Dude, fire.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Yeah.
Loved everything about it. I think Dale Jr. said it best in his podcast this week. He said it was like short track road course, and it's the way it ran too. And so it was just a lot of passing, a lot of battles throughout the entire field. So it was great from the green flag to the checker flag.
It was. I like the new layouts. I think my only complaint is just NASCAR would have told those guys a little sooner that they weren't going to police that last S as hard as they were, and it was just very inconsistent with what they did, which it's just the theme of this governing body for the sport.
NASCAR, baby.
Yeah, I mean, just whatever, but. Overall, yeah, I'm with you. I like the new layout. I was a little suspect at first of how this was going to work, but I think it played out very well. The next bullet point I have here for us to go over, tire wear. Oh my gosh, Cody. For the first time since Bristol Spring of last year, we finally had some tire wear at a track. Now, it wasn't a short track where we really wanted, but at least it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to Goodyear. NASCAR, I think it was probably a real good about 50-50 split there for kudos to both. Drivers too. I think the tire wear was great. Hoping to see some more of that. Looking ahead to Phoenix this week. It's not the same tire, but going to be similar to the optional tire they ran in Richmond last year. So hoping to continue to see some fall off on these tires moving forward throughout the year. But man, I mean, it helped this race that much more.
It did, and it did, and you could see it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but you could definitely see it there toward the end with Kyle Busch's run, and he kind of gave it everything he had, used the stuff up, and he ran out, and that's how it should be. You got to protect them tires, man. You got to protect them tires. put
It's
it
all
in the
about
driver's
strategy too.
hands, not in qualified positions' hands. You know what I mean? So, well, anyways, this for those who don't know, Circuit of the Americas, Speedway Motorsports actually rents that out for the weekend. A little track history: that track was basically built for F1 racing, along with many other things, but that was the main piece behind it. So my next question, I don't know what the terms of release are. I don't know if it's on a year-by-year basis. I probably should have done my homework on that. But you think they should keep coming back? I mean, the crowd looked good.
Mhm. So yeah, actually, contract's up. So they got to figure that out with was it Marcus Smith? Is that his name?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they got to figure that out with him. A very rare kudos to him, by the way, for whoever it was, him and whoever they got in to, kind of shorten this track. Shout out to them. But yeah, actually, they got to get another contract done for that. Not real sure how that works out with, like you said, the leasing and all that stuff. So I'm sure they'll figure something out. I would like to see it come back again now, as long as they're going to keep, the same format. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess if they didn't bring it back, I don't have this as a bullet point, but if they didn't bring it back, what SMI track would you like to see? And here's my question: is Chicagoland a SMI track?
I'm not entirely sure. If it was, that would be a no-brainer for me. That or Kentucky, probably.
I know Kentucky's definitely a SMI track. The only problem with
Yeah,
Kentucky is that thing's been sitting vacant for years now, and it needed some work before that.
it did, and but I would like to see one of those two. The other one is SMI track. Um, you know, and this is going to be a really a not favored opinion. Or well received, I guess. But if we could find a way to get some tire fall off at Texas, I would like to see Texas back, because we've had some really good historical racing there, fast speeds. But I just don't know what that would look like unless we get some tire fall off there.
Yeah, they can put about 7 or 8 pieces of dynamite in Texas and pull the trigger, as far as I'm concerned. I know you said it'd be controversial.
I did.
It doesn't do much for me, man. I don't know. It's just like they just made it wide for no reason, and but who knows? SMI will come up with something crazy to do with that track. I mean, it's just one of those things. I even remember when they were building it. I'm like, why are we just building another track that's basically just a wider version of Atlanta? I mean, and now Atlanta's completely different, but you just never got it at Texas like you thought it would, and they made it so big. Because NASCAR was peaked at the time that they built Texas. It was so big, so many stands that now it just looks pitiful on TV, honestly. Just because no one shows up, or even then they can have a decent crowd, but it's so big it just doesn't look like it. But that's a story for another day. We'll probably talk about that more when they go to Texas later this year. So. All right, well, let's talk about the Xfinity race. Now, I will say I didn't get to watch much of the Xfinity race personally. Headed up to Roanoke for a Rail Yard Dogs hockey game this past weekend. Shout out to them. First ever hockey game. Had an absolute blast. We'll definitely be going back to a hockey game in the near future. But yeah, the bullet point I have for this is Connor Zilic is that dude. And plain and simple. I mean, I texted you at the beginning of it and was like, he's leading the whole field by 4.5 seconds. Now, I didn't know he had a penalty at some point on pit road, and then just was like, whatever, I'll drive back up to the top, and still won by 2.5 seconds. The kid's 18 and he's dominating. It's gonna be fun to watch him throughout the years.
Yeah, he rubbed some of his teammates the wrong way, so he's got to work on that.
Yeah, but as Denny was talking about, at least he was like very genuine in his apology about it. And he was, hey, sorry. And then, but hey, karma came back around for him on Sunday. We'll get to that, where his own teammate got him back, not purposely, but.
Yep. So I think that kid's got a bright future.
He does.
Just to touch on that real quick, and I think he's going to be a lot like SVG. He's going to have to figure out the ovals, and I think once he does, it's going to be a lot like kind of the sky's the limit for the kid.
Here's the advantage I think he has over SVG or guys like Marcus Ambrose. AJ Allmendinger, people like that, is Connor's 18. He gets a whole lot bigger learning curve when it comes to ovals than the rest of these guys kind of had, and I think it plays to his advantage for sure. Because 3 years from now he's probably in a Cup car at 21 if he's not in one full time before then, and then he's 21. I mean, he's got a good 20 years to figure out these ovals. If he does figure it out, you could potentially be looking at a championship driver. I don't think that's too far out there to say it is good.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Well, that'll wrap us up for stage one. I felt like it was a good place to start for stage one. So let's go into stage two. Let's talk about the Cup race on Sunday. The first bullet point I have is just simply Ross. Do you want to start that one? Just kind of give people a recap of what we saw.
What are you doing? I mean, we dropped the green flag. He goes, hell on wheels into turn one. Batters the back of Chase Elliott and deep dives into there and screws up Denny. Screws up
Ty Gibbs. Gets airborne once again for the second time this year.
Yep. So I mean, I'm not sure what Ross was thinking. I from everything that I've read this over the week is no one else is really sure what Ross was thinking.
I got it for you. This is what he should have done, and here's my dad joke for the day. He should have done the watermelon crawl, going into turn one.
Oh, touche. So, yeah, I get being aggressive, trying to get that track position early, but I mean we're talking literally green flag.
Literally green flag, and this is a track that Ross has historically been fantastic at.
Yes,
and I mean he still had a decent day.
He finished 12th. Finished 12th.
But I think he screwed his car up on lap one.
He did, and and I mean he had to fight it all day, and I guess we'll probably touch on him and Chase later, but.
I don't think I have that down. So yeah, if you want to mention anything else about that, feel free.
I still think it was really funny that Chase's or really Alan Gustafson was on the radio saying, hey, we're gonna get his butt, and Chase is like, all right, well, just as long as it wasn't me, just make sure I didn't do anything wrong.
It wasn't me, okay. Right? No, it wasn't me. All right, I'm gonna beat him up.
Then fast forward to the end of the race, Ross just completely chickened out. It's like I'm getting out the way, and to be fair, I mean Chase was on I think the most fresh tires.
Chase was on a run. Race. Ross knew it was coming from him. And honestly, it was smart by Ross, and that was a smart thing to do right there.
He climbed from like 20th to 4th or 5th.
Yep.
By the end of the race, and dude was running the fastest laps. Also, shout out to the tires again there.
Yep.
I mean, I just not sure what Ross was thinking, and then the whole decline of the comment after the end of the race. I wasn't a fan of that personally. I do think he should have at least came out and owned it up. And, I truly do feel a lot like Denny and Dale also said on their podcast was, last week here you are, standing in the infield talking to Carson Hocevar and trying to be the big brother. And this week you're like, nah, I'm just not going to decline comment. Mm-hmm. It looks bad on Ross.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. I mean, simple as this. Go up to Chase, say you're sorry, which maybe he did and the cameras didn't pick it up. Go talk to reporters. Hey, I screwed up lap one. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm headed home.
Yep.
We're not asking much, man. Don't say no comment. Then you look like an idiot.
Preach it, brother.
Well, I think to me, for the overall race, stepping aside from Ross in lap one, which lap one not only screwed up Ross, it screwed up Gillish too, because he got involved in some of that other stuff. Ty Gibbs, Denny, which, by the way, hilarious. Joe Gibbs taking some shots at Denny. If you haven't heard that comment, go listen to Denny's podcast. That was hilarious. What Gibbs said. Bud. Yeah, it's about 50-50, bud. But I think what I liked most about this race is how many guys look good at different points in the race. And I put some different bullet points down here, and I actually missed one. I'll just mention them. But I got Tyler Reddick, looked good to start, looked very good toward the end. I think a few more laps, he would have had something. SVG put on a clinic in stage one, took it over, owned it. Then Kyle Busch reached deep in his bag into his youth and ran his tail off. He really did. I mean, honestly, it's the best I've seen. I think it's the best we've seen Kyle run in 2 seasons now. And he was giving everything he had, just to the point where he used it all up. And I mean, what else can you ask from him? He gave it everything. William Byron looked good at times too. And then ultimately the race winner, Christopher Bell. It was fun watching that many guys at different points run that well. I think it was a product of honestly, I think it's a product of the tires because we hadn't seen road course racing like this in a while. It was probably one, a format of the or a doing of the track format, and then two, the tires.
Yeah, full agreement. I think having some parity, having a bunch of guys up there battling for the lead. I mean, that's what we want to see when it comes to racing. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was all for it. Um, I just think everybody did a really good job. I think the drivers came away really impressed with the track this time too, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of drivers were pretty bored in the years past. But this time, it was just I mean, bang bang. I felt like it was all day. It was action. You know, anywhere a Fox camera went, you
Hold
know,
that thought.
yeah. We'll talk about the where they didn't go later on, but yeah, everywhere they went most of the day was. I mean, it was some sort of action somewhere.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it was great. It really was, for sure. Probably one of the best road course races we've had in these new cars. I think it
absolutely,
was the best road course race we've had so far in the next
I
gen.
could I could totally agree with that.
Yep. Next point, Connor Zillich, not that dude. Well, just kidding when I say that. A lot of bad luck. But
The
welcome to the Cup Series, young man.
tale of two tapes for him.
It really
2
was.
days, I guess we could say.
He,
Um,
yeah,
I think if he doesn't have that second string of bad luck late in the race, I do think he probably finds himself an easy top 10
if
and
not knocking on the door.
probably fighting for the top 5.
Hmm.
Not sure after the turn one incident. I don't know that he would have had a car to win the race a lot like Chase, because I think Chase still they battled that for the rest of the day, and I think Connor Zilic would have done the same thing. But you never know. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe he would have.
Yeah.
So I'll be definitely watching him. Come Sonoma, Watkins, Glen.
Yeah, hopefully he gets right. I don't know if he's signed for any more this year or not. I
Not
didn't hear about
sure.
that, but as well as he did, I imagine Red Bull will hop on board and give him another chance at another track.
Hmm.
And that's the other thing too. Allow me to say, it was refreshing to see Red Bull back in Cup, but it was also hilarious that the Red Bull curse continued in Cup racing this week.
I didn't even give that a thought to the curse. So kudos to you for shouting that out.
Yeah, I mean, Zilch had a good run going on. He had the problems on lap one. He goes all the way back to the back of the field. He's like completely out of it into the stage break, and then the dude just starts driving. I mean, he's like 3 or 4 seconds better than the rest of the field at one point. Works his way all the way up there, and then his teammate does something stupid, and Daniel Suarez gets out of control, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, into the wall goes Zillich, and his day's over with. Tough luck,
Yeah.
man. It happens. Christopher Bell, back to back. I think what I learned this weekend is C-Bell can win at any track at any time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he talked about that on Junior's podcast. They interviewed him, and he talked about how, um, you know, now he's back to doing dirt racing. He's
Mm-hmm.
able to. He's now allowed to do that during the season too. So he talks about still doing it during the off season, but now being able to kind of do it during the week a little bit. He's not doing it a whole lot, but it's keeping him prepared and keeping him on edge and allowing him to continue to work on his skills and stuff at road courses and I mean just everywhere. And so he kind of touched base on that and just continued to talk about how hard he's been working to get better at road courses. And like you said, I don't know that there's really anywhere right now. If he runs like that again at another road course, this kid's strong everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking as you're talking of the drivers that you would consider like extremely well rounded, who can really go out and win at any time. Chase and C. Bell about the only two who really come to mind for me. I mean, you could say Larson, but Larson's struggles on super
Super
speedways, be
Speedway.
it bad luck, whatever it might be. That's where that argument might end. I mean, C. Bell's proven it pretty much everywhere he's been. So is Chase Elliott. So I think those two are probably the top of the class as far as just complete overall being able to go in, week out. If both of them have good cars, they're going to compete for a win for sure.
I would agree with that. I mean, I know we might touch on this, of course, later in the season, and it's hard to say after 3 races, but I mean, do you think right now, C Bell's the favorite to
Yeah, I
for
mean,
the?
we talked about it last week. We asked, is this the year? And I mean, can you argue it's not right now? I mean, it's March. We got a long ways to go, but yeah, dude looks pretty dang good so far.
Be eager to watch him at Phoenix, and then is it Vegas after Phoenix?
Yeah, yeah.
So be eager to watch the next two races and see how he does. And I mean, if he's able to stay clean, I mean, he's probably going to be. I mean, he's probably the favorite to win Vegas, probably.
The thing I'm watching that I've noticed 3 races into this season, Toyotas are bat fast. Like, they're crazy fast. Faster than they've been in a long time. So it should be interesting to watch Joe Gibbs racing, and then also Legacy. Get on some ovals. I really want to see how Legacy does when he gets back to some normal tracks this season. I want to see if their Toyota program is as strong as Joe Gibbs. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to be up there, with it equal yet. But have they made strides from last year? It'd be interesting. Anything else you want to add from COTA?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about a couple of one other thing here in just a few moments, but let's move on to the final stage. Shorter pod this week as we only had 2 races. But yeah, the biggest news and one of the biggest benefits of us recording later this week is a little penalty news coming through. The first one that we heard about was Austin Cindric. He gave the old right rear hook to Ty Dillon this past weekend, and NASCAR at the beginning of the year said, we're going to suspend you if you do this, which is pretty big because that meant he would not make the playoffs. And they didn't. They didn't suspend him. They just docked him 50 points. And they're like, oh, well, they weren't traveling that fast. It's okay. Why set a rule if you're not going to enforce it, man? I know they're not wanting to kill them on the playoffs, this, that, and the other, but you want to send a message to these drivers of how NASCAR is going to be going forward. Enforce that rule the way you said you were going to.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here for me, in my opinion. If Austin doesn't run as good as he has the first 2 to 3 weeks, do they feel differently?
Yeah.
If it's not the 2 car.
If it's not a Penske car?
If it's not a Penske car, is it, if that's Ty Dillon giving the right hook?
How about that? What if it's just an open driver? Let's say it's Connor Zillage doing it.
Yeah.
I imagine they're going to suspend him for 4. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, that's a lot to unpack there of, it's what ifs. And the problem is it shouldn't be a what if.
Nah.
It should be, and I get it. Like, look, I don't want to see him suspended this early in the season
and miss out on the playoffs right away.
He has a really good opportunity to go win some races, and I don't want to see that either. But you got to police what you put in place.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like, okay, if you're not going to do it, then go change the rule already.
Yep.
3 races into the season, and say you're not going to suspend. But okay, let's dock 50 or 100 points each time you do it, and park them for 1 race. Let's do something. But, if you don't want to suspend them for the playoffs, because honestly, I don't think NASCAR thought anybody would call them on their bluff. But good for Cindric for calling them on their bluff. Yeah. And now this opens the door for what? Now what if another driver does it? And once again, we talked about this in episode 2 or 3. I think it was 2 after was Ryan Preece took flight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Daytona 500. So episode 1, we talked about safety, and we talked, so what is it? What happens if next week? Phoenix is, but still,
but they're
we're
going
any
fast.
track.
Someone can still get hurt. These cars, man.
So what happens if someone goes out and gets right hook next week? Because NASCAR's just going to dock me 50 points, and then somebody gets hurt.
Yeah,
that's on NASCAR.
Yeah, I think this week, being that there was some space between the track and the wall and a little runoff there. In a way, I get where they're coming from, but I'm also like you, call a spade. You set the rule. Let's enforce it. Maybe this was the warning shot across the field. All right, if that's the deal, then just own it. I don't know if they put out their Hall or Talk podcast yet, which I haven't listened to, but I've been reading some of the tweets where they get different people from NASCAR to come on there and talk about their decision making. So maybe we'll hear something about it later this week. But be upfront if that's what it is, to say, yeah, we probably should have done it. Here's the warning to the rest of the field. Next time, it is what it is. But
it's the theme for the season for this podcast and Stage Racing: consistency.
Yeah,
we say that we use. I swear to God, we use that word every single week, and it's very similar to the yellow flag situation, to fighting back to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to go with? And so, needless to say, we really need to figure out, what they're going to do. And it's going to happen again this season, I'm sure. I'm sure it's going to happen at least once more where somebody's going to get right hooked on purpose. And we'll figure out what NASCAR's going to do. I hope nobody does get right hooked, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the final stage here. Shorter pod this week, unless we ramble on here. Are we already in the final stage? What am I talking about? Man, I'm out of it. Now, the next big penalty, one that completely shocked me, and I know if you would have been so busy at work, you probably would have elaborated more on it, but Chase Briscoe has his penalty from Daytona reversed. I mean, we were talking last week, dude lost 100 points, we had more points than him, all this, that, and the other. And his penalty's reversed. Reading into it, basically the point Gibbs made was the way that part was made. They had to make some adjustments for the particular bolts that they were using to fit, and they reversed it. You know what? I'm okay with that. With reading it and hearing the side of the story, I'm okay with it. And shout out to Briscoe. It's not such a desperate moment for him in the 19 team now as it was looking a couple of weeks ago. I think he vaulted from 42nd in points all the way up to 14th after that penalty went away. So yeah, good little week for him this week.
Yeah, excited for the kid that kind of. I mean, you talk about being a weekend, and all of a sudden it's
a weekend with your new team.
Yep, got a damper on the whole season now. Like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that kid because he was one of our dark horses in the beginning of the season for making the playoffs, winning a race. So happy for him, happy for that team. Completely stoked that NASCAR, upheld or gave them the appeal. So yeah, I think that's great, and I like I said, I couldn't be more happier for the kid and the team.
The only thing I'm upset about is I really wanted him to go and win at Phoenix this week and still have negative points, so we could just completely laugh at the process that has become of the NASCAR playoff system. Darn it!
That would have been the only silver lining to that for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's why they reversed it. I don't know. Conspiracy theorist in me coming out.
I like it. I like it.
All right, next one I have here is Catherine Legg to race this weekend for Live Fast Motorsports. Didn't really know much about her. I just looked her up. She's done some IndyCar racing from the UK, done a little bit of racing. I just think it's neat to have a female in the field. If I'm not mistaken, first female since Danica left.
She's 44, I think.
Yeah, she's a little older.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to her. Probably not going to have much of anything to drive this weekend. I mean, Phoenix is not one you want to come in and open car for a one-time deal, but whatever. I guess they had the sponsorship money that made it work.
Yeah.
And we'll see how she runs. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe it'll be one of them old. I doubt it, but I'm getting the old starting parts.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen to her, because then just the good old stereotypes will come out at that point.
Yeah, we don't need those. But no, yeah, like you said, shout out to her. Anything that can continue to get some notoriety to the sport, I think both me and you are here for.
Yep, for sure. I'm going to skip my next point. I'll come back to it, but the next one I have here is Riley Hurst. Just call him Mr. Consistent. Here's an interesting stat for you. He's finished 17th in every race so far.
Well, even the Clash.
Exactly. That's just wild. That's hilarious.
I hope that dude's going and playing 17.
Dude, no joke. No joke.
I mean, or he's going and buying scratcher number 17 out of the 7.
I tell you, the one thing he's got going for him is he also looks like he's 17. So maybe that's why.
Hey. Don't some of us wish we still look 17?
Yep. Yeah, the hair was a little longer at 17. That's why I keep it short, because once it does go the rest of the way, there's no difference. All right, this one, we'll probably sit on this for a minute or two. We had it on there last week. I'm going to do it again. Fox. You've really got to do better. Like, oh my gosh, we have this 3-car battle it wasn't great all race. We can talk about the commentators, but again, as we talked about, it's the camera work and the production that is just absolute trash. We've got a 3-car race for the win, and the producer switches to a drone shot or a helicopter shot where the grandstand blocks the pass for the lead. You've got to be kidding me. Look, I originally went to college as a communications major, thought about working this, changed my major before I ever got to that point, but I can see enough videos and talk to enough people in a control room. They knew what that camera was going to look like before they said switch to that camera. What the heck, man?
I thought the funniest thing was you heard Clint Boyer sigh on the broadcast. And
That's not the first time he's done that. That's not the first time. What was it last year? He was like, let's watch this battle for the lead, and they switched to like a battle for 20.
And everybody think I've been very vocal about my displeasure of Boyer on the broadcast, but he had every right, along with every other NASCAR fan, enthusiast, whatever, that literally we're getting a pass for the lead with like 6 or 7 to go.
I mean, this is the win. It literally was the pass for the win.
It was.
Literally was.
It was.
And we didn't even see it.
Nope, didn't even see it. Like you'll go back and watch this race, 10 years from now, because it'll be the one that changed COTA, and you'll be like, well, I'm gonna go look at that Christopher Bell pass. I'm gonna look at that grandstand.
Nice silver grandstand they got there in the middle of Austin, Texas. What a shame. I think we both just texted each other and all we said was Fox. Like, I think it was just that's all it said.
We just got to come up with.
Who knows what we'll get this week? We'll probably get some like way too close up of a rattlesnake on Rattlesnake Hill when it's like a green white checkered 4-wide finish, and they'll have it on a copperhead, and Clint's gonna be, look at that copperhead, Kevin. What do we got up here? Just something stupid.
They'll pan up to those guys. Those pan up to those people. Because Phoenix has got that little
not copperhead rattlesnake. What am I talking about? I can't even get my snakes right.
Hey, it don't matter. You know what? At this point, Fox will probably plant a copperhead in Phoenix.
You're probably
just
right.
So they
can
can
call
put
it
it
rattlesnake
on TV.
anyways. Yeah.
But I think I think for they had that. I think there is, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they used to pan out to where you'd have some people like on that. There's
people sit on the hill. Toyota usually has a sponsorship up there.
Yeah, so they'll probably pan to that and be like, "Oh, look, there's Toyota supporters on the hill," and here we are with the battle with 3 to go, and it's like, okay, how much is Toyota paying y'all?
Look, I know you gotta get your sponsorship money in. Do it in the first stage, man. It's when you're getting your most viewers, anyways. But come on, when the race is on the line, shut up. I just want to watch them race.
Yeah, and I still say this, and I'm going to say it every week if I have to until we're off of Fox. But at the end of a race, can Clint Boyer please stop over talking Mike Joy?
Shut up and let it happen, man.
Like that's one thing that I will say about broadcasters nowadays, and this is for any sport, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, is in the waning moments, say Game 7 of the World Series, I know a lot of people aren't going to like what I'm about, or who I'm about to say, but like Joe Buck. A lot of people don't like Joe Buck.
He knows when to shut up.
He does. And, you hit a home run to take the lead in Game 7 of the World Series. He's letting that crowd noise be on the TV so people can feel that environment. Mike Joy still...
sorry to cut you off, but
no.
When you're in that moment as a fan, you're going so crazy, you don't even know what they're saying. Think back when UVA won the national championship in basketball. When y'all hit that 3 in the corner, did you hear any of the words that came out of their mouth right after that happened? No. I'll answer that for you. I wasn't with you, but I know you. I can tell you right now, no, you didn't. And it's probably because Nance didn't say anything. I think Rafferty came on there and said onions, and that was about it. But that's about all you expect. At that point, let the noise pipe in and just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, Ty Jerome passed that to the corner, and I hear Jim Nance go, Hunter!
Yep.
And then, of course, him, Bill Raftery, oh, onions!
Yep.
And then, I do remember that, but of course I've seen the highlight 1,000 times. But yeah, no, when you're in that moment, you're not thinking about what they're saying. You're just in complete disarray. A
NASCAR race shouldn't be any different. It shouldn't be any different. Let it play out, man.
I want to hear the fans in the stands. I want to hear, the sound of the cars. I want to hear the guys on the radio with, because they always usually cut to the radio at the end of a race with the driver, saying, hell of a job or whatever. Mm-hmm. I want to hear that. I'm not here to listen to Clint Boyer talk over, Mike Joy and, kind of ruin the ambiance, I guess, of the end of a race.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Fox. You got to love it. You gotta love it. We've mentioned Phoenix, so let's talk about it. Here we are, week 4 of the season, and we finally get a normal oval. We talked about the schedule last week. Go check that video out if you want to. Yeah, normal oval when it's not even normal. Let me just rephrase that. We get an oval, but it's a tri-oval actually, and we still don't even get an oval the week after that. We go to Vegas. It's pretty much the same thing.
Same. It's got a little more banking. Right?
Yeah, that's true. It is true. Yeah, they technically classify Phoenix as a short track. It's not a short track. I mean, I know by definition maybe, but race is completely different from it. I guess the biggest storyline here is one, you're going to see who's good, because you're going to see who could compete if they're in the Final Four in the fall. But the biggest topic this weekend will be the 2 different types of tires. You have the harder tires that are going to run longer. Might be not as fast in the short run, and then you have the soft tires, which is vice versa. My question is this: will either of those tires actually wear? And then my follow-up question to that is, why not just give them the soft tire and let's see what these guys got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Did they run the options in the championship? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think they did.
Okay.
I could be wrong. We'll have to go back and check that stat. So wait, they're running both this week?
They're running both. Yeah, similar to what they
See,
did.
I thought they were. Yes. I thought they were just running just the option tire. I thought
they're running both this weekend.
So I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If people are running the hard tire, which I expect a lot of people will probably do at some point,
because Phoenix runs long. There's a bunch of long runs.
So I expect a lot of drivers to run that. So I don't expect a lot of fall off. I'm gonna expect a lot of the same. But I think later in the race, I think you might see some people, get that softer tire to maybe get those quick jumps. Especially if, depending on when you get cautions and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's gonna play into that. But yeah, I really would like to see us just go to the soft tire in general.
It's just, and I know tire options are big and other types of motorsports racing, things like that. It's just hard for me to get down with it with NASCAR. Just because it's never really been a thing, and I'm too much of a traditionalist, I guess. But if we have a soft tire, the one thing we talk about these new cars over and over and over again is there's no tire wear. There's no tire wear. Well, you finally have a soft tire that actually wears, and you're like, hey, we're still not sure if we want to do that, so here's your option. Like, it's just stupid, man. Just go to the soft tire. It's better than nothing, and put it in the driver's hands, like we talked about.
To me, it makes no sense to run a soft. Like, if you're looking at both, it makes no sense to run a softer tire at a road course and then not run it on a flat track.
Yep.
Like,
and the other thing
is, it's already not a lot of passing anyway.
We had this at Richmond last year. We learned Richmond's basically the same thing as Phoenix to an extent. We know just go with the soft, man. It's not just it's not going to blow up and Goodyear look like a bunch of idiots on TV. Just go with the soft and let's let it ride, man. Literally.
Yeah, just let it ride, baby.
Yeah.
So.
Well, who do you like this weekend? You don't have to give me your full rundown. I know we hadn't seen qualifying or anything like that. Just right off the cuff, who do you like this weekend?
I think either one of us is crazy if we don't go with a Ford. I think probably Ryan Blaney's going to be number one for me.
I saw a stat. I think it's like his average finish with these new cars, it's spring and fall, is second.
Like, he's the new Harvick. Yeah. Like, let's just say what it is.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin Harvick owned Phoenix, so I think Blaney's probably my favorite. I am going to give a dark horse this week, and he was my dark horse to make the Final Four, but Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher historically, especially in these current gen, has run really well at Phoenix. So I think I'm actually going to put a bet and prop on him to finish in the top 10 this week.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do that on FanDuel. So I'm probably going to put some money. Ryan Blaney's going to obviously be the favorite. Mm-hmm. So if I had to put money on someone else to win, that's kind of a long shot. Buescher would be one. But I also, I'm going to say this, Chase Briscoe.
Okay, got some positive news this week. Blaney is who everyone's going to have in their fantasy lineup this weekend. If you don't, you're an idiot. But we say that, and he'll probably wreck on lap 1. But even then, you still got to put him. His average finish is there. You got to do it. I think Tyler Reddick normally runs pretty well at Phoenix. But I think a driver who usually runs okay at Phoenix, who I think is going to have a pretty good week. I think Hamlin's going to have a good weekend this weekend. He hadn't had he's had an okay start to the season, but I think he's had to sit there and have just 3 races, even though he's pretty good at super speedways that just aren't his thing. I think he's bottled up and ready to get after it this weekend. I could see him having a good solid race. I don't know if he can win, but I think he's going to have a good solid race this week.
I'd like to see him get a top 5.
Whether or not I put a usage on him, TBD. But we'll have to see how qualifying goes. But
at least in practice and qualifying to see what people are turning, and depending on how he does, I might put him to finish top 5 in a FanDuel bet. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I like that.
Yeah, we talked about a couple weeks ago what our perfect playoff format would be. Actually, it was last week because NASCAR started to discuss maybe potentially changing it. Let's just say, put all that stuff aside. Let's say this format remains. Where would you put the final race? I guess we could call this our overtime stage for the week. Where would you, if you could, let's just say everything stays the same. It's a 1-track, 1-race finish. Where are you putting it? Let me go first.
I think I already know. Go ahead.
Obviously, I loved Homestead. I think you got to narrow it down, right? It's got to be somewhere where the weather's going to be good. It's also got to be somewhere that's got a pretty decent market with it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, and they traditionally like the mile to a mile and a half. You're not going to have a short track. You're not going to have a super speedway, which super speedway I'm okay with. Road course I'm okay not having those. Short track I'm impartial, seeing over my shoulder if Martinsville there. But I think for me it would narrow it down. That narrows it down, I think, to 3 tracks. Maybe even 4, but the weather comes in with the 4th. I think you've got Homestead, which we've had before, Phoenix, where they are right now, Las Vegas, which I think would be an awesome place to have the championship.
Finish the season.
Just because it's Vegas. And the race is pretty good at Las Vegas, too. But then the 4th one, you could even argue Charlotte, but they don't want to give up the Roval.
They don't, and I wish they would give up the Roval because I think finishing the season in Charlotte at where most of these guys have their shops.
Cool, man, and everyone would show out. And even then, now they don't race as late into the season as they used to. You're finishing up first weekend in November. It's not. It could be, but it's usually not that bad weather-wise in Charlotte that time of year.
I wouldn't mind seeing oh man, drawing a blank now. Homestead was going to be one of mine that I listed. I definitely a little bit of a traditionalist, but it's been good racing.
Dude, with these new cars, the Homestead's been fantastic.
Me and you have sent some clips back and forth of that. Kansas has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Right into Kansas, and that's
Kansas
the 1-1.
Has been really good. I think
because for me, if it's the championship, I want to see the best racing too. Mm-hmm. It's not just about where we can go. I have a hard time keeping Phoenix up there unless, and I'll asterisk beside there, if this soft tire works pretty well, then I can put it back up there.
If they'll just go to it. Sorry, I'm trying to pop my back. It's killing me this week, but I just don't know if they'll do that. And
I don't think they will.
I get the switch, because they switched to Phoenix before they switched to the next gen cars. Homestead was kind of running its course. It would kind of become stale from a viewership side of things. I don't think anyone traditionalists really complained about the racing at Homestead for the final. It was still good. But I think they wanted to switch it up. And at first I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. They just reconfigured Phoenix. I was like, all right. And then they went and changed the cars, and it just sucked. And now I'm like, why did we ever do this?
Yeah. So I'll give you my top 4. I'll say, and not in any particular. Well, the first 3 are no particular order to me. I would say Homestead, Charlotte, and Kansas. That's what I would say for my 3. My 4th one, and this will probably be a little against the grain here, but I'm gonna go real traditionalist here because this is back when me and you were just babies. Atlanta.
Yeah, but it's just. It's a good one, but do you want that type of racing to crown a champion? That's the problem. And
that's why I said it's a little bit against the grain.
Yeah.
But my hope would be, now I can't trust it, of course, with these drivers sometimes. My hope would be if it's the championship race, if we're still stuck in this format, everyone's going to race hard, but I'm hoping those guys are going to be like, okay, like we're not going to push nearly as much because we don't want to cost somebody a championship. Like that would be my hope. And honestly, I mean, like it's like, going back to what Denny said in his podcast after the Atlanta race, it's really hard to, come out of that turn. And by the time you get down the backstretch, back to turn 3, you're barely or may not even be able to, bump that guy in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So, my hope would be that, the guys would take it a little bit easier until, stage 3, like they did this past time. And then for that last 100 laps, just, run balls to the wall. And at that point, I mean, if all 4 contenders are there in the last 100 laps, it's whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I feel I'm okay with that being my 4th one. But I would not put it over right now over those other 3.
Yeah, I like Kansas. I think it's the best one. I just the location is what you one of those things. Yeah. If I had to change it up, I would love Charlotte. I just don't think they would do it there. I would say either Vegas or Homestead. And honestly, I'd probably lean Vegas. I think that would be interesting to have the championship in Vegas.
What would have been great? You know what would have been great?
What's that?
Auto Club.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Freaking California, and we could have got Auto Club. Or, I'm going to say this too, freaking in another big market, Chicagoland.
Yeah, but it's just that, oh God, in November, that weather up there. Bring out the snow tires, baby. Let's see what we got.
That's right. That's 4-wheel drive, baby. We got it. So.
Oh man, yeah, but we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. I do think when I don't see the playoffs staying the same after this year. I'd be shocked, but then again, I wouldn't be shocked if it did. I do think I'm hopeful that they're going to go to more than just one race finish. I think that's the way they're leaning. With all the flack they got this past year, I think that's the way they're leaning. But yeah, so we'll see. I don't think it's going to stay in Phoenix much longer though. Not if it's just a one race wins all. I don't think it's staying there much longer.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, here's the thing though. You got to give Phoenix credit where credit's due. They sell it out and they pack it out for the championship. I've got a family friend who lives out there, and he was in visiting a year or so ago, and he goes to the fall race, and he said it's unreal. I mean, the atmosphere, everything. He said it's great. He says it's really fun to attend in person. So it might be good. I mean, the TV viewership's interesting to watch, but at least they're having fun in the stadium, I guess. So,
that's right. Let's make a trip to Phoenix.
Hey, look, we got some lodging if we want to go. So
hey, works for me. It saves costs. We put them on tickets.
That's the truth. Well, Cody, hey man, I think this has been a good one. Looking forward to watching the race this weekend in Phoenix. Yeah, starting a little later for us, which is good. I got a little yard work I need to do since the weather's starting to turn for us here for the better. I'm hoping today is our last cold day here in Virginia. We had some crazy wind and some cold temperature. It's a good way to finish it out. Let's push it out. The other thing too is
70s next week.
Yes, even though it's an hour later than we've normally been started with that time change. Good luck staying awake. We both have young children. We're gonna get woken up way sooner than we want to on Sunday mornings.
God help us. Godspeed to anyone with children out there.
That's the truth. You know the struggle. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure, as it has been always. To everyone else, I have Cody and myself. Thank you for tuning in to the Stage Racing Podcast, and we'll catch you next week.